On today's show, Ottawa Senators defenseman Jake Sanderson has been named a finalist for an NHL award.
And we continue with our season in review. Today, we're looking at the forwards and head coach.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. Today is Friday, May 1st, and Pillsy, no more Canadian teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, that's crazy. Both of them on the East and West just out in the first round. Really disappointing. I guess we're just going to cheer for maybe a team with a lot of Canadians on it, like the Tampa Bay Lightning.
A lot of Canadians live in Tampa Bay, so It feels like they should be the next choice to root for. No?
Yep, as a Canadian, that's where I decided to go on my bachelor party. So that really feels like, of all the teams left, that feels like a team that Canada should root for. I mean, Canada's head coach of the Olympics, John Cooper, coaching in Tampa. So yeah, regardless of who Tampa faces, I think that's a team Canada can get behind.
They do play tonight against Montreal. It's game 6.
Wait, what?
The Habs have a chance to move on.
What's Montreal's team name again?
The Habitants.
Oh, yes. Right.
The Habitants. Buffalo Sabres are on the road in Buffalo. They are on the road in Boston tonight.
I mean, Ross, that is a team, like, of all the American teams, that's the only team that sings the Canadian anthem at every game regardless. And if the mic cuts out, those fans will sing along. So that's in the running for Canada's team number 2. So first, Canada cheering guide. We got you guys. Tampa Bay Lightning. Second, Buffalo Sabres. Third, just those 2.
Definitely not Colorado.
No.
Still haven't gotten over Nathan McKinnon missing a wide open net in the gold medal game.
Yeah.
Minnesota moves on last night, though, so that series is set. That's going to be must-watch hockey. Sheesh. 2 really high energy teams. You wonder how much gas Minnesota used up in that series win over Dallas. And I think Sens fans are going to be talking about Dallas for the next little while because they are in a cap crunch. So if you want to look at a team that you're looking to make a real hockey trade with, Dallas could be a very interesting match.
But Ross, we were looking at this. I don't know if you can make a hockey trade with Dallas because they don't have cap space. Like, they might have to move on from a big player, a scoring winger, without taking on much cap in return.
What, you say like under $5 million cap?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I know there's some people being like, oh, censored name there for Jason Robertson. What if it's Drake Batherson?
Yeah, I mean, that would make a lot of sense for both sides, honestly.
For money-wise, it makes a lot more sense.
I thought you were going to suggest a Fabian Zetterlund type deal.
They can take him, too, if they want.
Yeah, but, I mean, if we're being serious, any Jason Robertson trade has to come with an extension. We're not acquiring a star without term on his deal and more term than Jacob Chikrin had.
He needs a contract. It's not like he's going into the year before his RFA. He is unsigned. So he needs a contract, period. And he's been on the bridge deals. So I think he's ready for a long-term deal. Man, if you can't tell, we are very depressed. Today is supposed to be game 7.
Yeah.
Today is supposed to be game 7. You said, let's just play hockey in May. And we couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's May 1st. No Sens hockey.
No Sens hockey. It's over.
Ross,
so unfortunate.
Remember when I was worried about the Ottawa Senators possibly playing for my wedding June 13th? They didn't even win one game. They didn't even lead for a single second in the playoffs. That did not have to be a fear of mine.
What's worse, losing to a frankly better team that had you beat in every statistical category, or being the Edmonton Oilers and losing the first round to a team that hadn't been in the playoffs in a number of years, hadn't won a round in 11 years?
I wish I could lead into this narrative, Ross, but getting swept at home and never leading for one single second. Like, is there a worse scenario in the playoffs? I don't think so.
Yeah, and if you're the Oilers, at least their fans can be like, hey, we've won 6 playoff series in the last 3 years. So there's that, but they haven't accomplished the big goal. And you got to understand, too, like this happens. It happened to Florida with the regular season and their injuries. And I know Oilers fans and their players battled through, especially McDavid and Draisaitl, both hurt, but played throughout this series and played well. Maybe not up to their standards, but still very offensive-minded hockey throughout. But their Achilles heels, their goaltending. And one thing I will say to Ottawa's credit is they went out and tried to address their goaltending when it was bad. Edmonton allowing Connor McDavid in his prime after signing a 2-year extension at the most reasonable cap hit for him of all time. Him having Connor Ingram and Tristan Jarry as his goalies, and Jarry signed for the same amount of years, I believe, as Connor McDavid. He's going to be on their team next year. Like, that is unbelievable ineptitude in the front office.
And especially, Ross, how much chatter went on talking about Tristan Jarry and being like, how are the Penguins going to get rid of this guy? Like, are they going to have to retain salary? Are they going to have to add sweeteners? They got guys. They got Stuart Skinner, who turned into a decent goalie for them. They got Brett Kulak, who they flipped for more assets. And did they get a pick as well?
Yeah.
That is like just complete waste of talent. Like, it's not the same because they went to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, but similar to like the LA Angels with Trout and Shohei Ohtani, just not
and
being
Trout was in the building.
Yeah, Trout was in the building, ironically, just not being able to properly build around town. Again, different situation. The Angels never even made the playoffs, and the Oilers went to 2 cups. But like, just I feel bad. This is crazy too, but I feel bad for the Oilers fans being like, we had major opportunities, and because of one Achilles heel to goaltending not being able to be solved, we couldn't get it done.
Yeah, Mike Trout, man. 3 playoff games in his career, and they were 12 years ago, and he's one of the best baseball players of the decade.
And then he had the arguably greatest baseball player ever on his team for years as well. Crazy.
The playoffs are unbelievable, though. I mean, I've been watching. I know you've been kind of poopy pants about getting back into watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, but we've got round 2, game 1 set tomorrow night. It's going to be the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. I want all Sens fans in the comments today to let us know what you want to see happen in that series. Would it make you feel better if Carolina sweeps the second round or wins in 5 games? Or are you saying, screw those guys? They ended our dream. Their dream should be ended too, and Philly should win that series.
No, I don't get that spin zone. Because like, it'd be different if it was Toronto or Montreal that beat us, Ross, or maybe even Detroit, because that's like a natural rival for you, and you just don't want to see them succeed. But the only spin zone you can have here is you want the Hurricanes to do well to try to validate how badly you got spanked in round 1.
Yeah, that's a fair way to look at it. Hey, some good news came out yesterday. Jake Sanderson named a finalist for the Lady Byng Memorial Trophy. If you're curious what the Lady Byng Trophy represents, it's given to the player judged to have exhibited the best type of sportsmanship and gentlemanly conduct combined with a high standard of playing ability. Ridley Gregg didn't finish top 3, maybe 4th for him. Yeah, maybe 4th. The finalists are Jake Sanderson of the Ottawa Senators, Cole Caulfield from the Montreal Canadiens, and Anze Kopitar from the Los Angeles Kings. What was your immediate reaction when you saw that trickle across the timeline?
I loved it, Ross. I want to see players on my team being nominated for awards and being celebrated. And look, obviously, is the Lady Byng a major award or, one that's highly regarded? It's probably lower on the list. Let's be real here. But Ross, you called it the Nice Guy Award. If you're going to be a nice guy, why not be one of the 3 top nicest guys, or top 2, or maybe top 1 nicest guy? But Ross, I know you and I are on opposite ends of this spectrum when it comes to having our players nominated for this award.
Yeah, although I've warmed up to it the more research I've done. I want a team full of bullies. I want the Bank Street Bullies coming through the GCP. I want it to be a team where you're not like, wow, those guys are so gentlemanly when they come into Ottawa. I want a little more fear than that. But I will say, pretty impressive to get nominated, and I think this is going to be an Anze Kopitar Lifetime Achievement Award, and that's fine. He's retiring, and he's had a hell of a career, and he has always been looked at as one of the most gentlemanly players in the National Hockey League. But I will say, no goalies ever won the award, and only a few defensemen have.
4.
Do you remember the first defenseman to win the Lady Byng? Bill Quackenbush in the 1949 Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, most recently was Jacob Slavin. Ross, I'm disappointed you've warmed up to this. I was ready to have a heated battle. Can we pretend you still have the meathead take? I have a lot of points I want to get out here.
You just want to hit me with a punching bag?
Yeah, I got all my ammo ready. We even were chatting in the group chat about this. I said, stop. We're talking about this on the show tomorrow. And
then I warmed up.
Now you've just doused my fire here. But for all of those out there who think, oh, I don't want my players getting nominated for the nice guy, the gentleman award. Well, Ross, are you aware of the first winner of the Lady Byng Trophy?
This is the story that made me warm up to it as well, but go on.
Frank Neighbour. Am I saying that right?
Like a good neighbor, the Lady Byng is here.
Yeah, but of the original Ottawa Senator. So this was first given to an Ottawa Senator player. And Ross, you said you want a team full of bullies, right? You want that hard hockey. What type of player would you categorize Mark Mathot as?
Hip check guy.
This is a bully, hard-nosed player,
he's
right?
A bully when he's got all 10 of his fingertips.
Yeah, Mark Mathot on Twitter, our pal Mark Meth. Think about how often Sanderson's out there with all the potential holds, hooks, and tripping penalties that can happen at any moment. His elite skating ability, relentless work ethic, and hockey IQ makes him a top D-man in the NHL today, no question. And locked in at 8 sheets a year till 2031 is theft. 8 penalty minutes. Ross, that's 4 minor penalties. I'm still talking as if we're arguing, in case you haven't noticed.
Yeah.
That's only 4 minor penalties in 67 games. I looked at NHL.com. I sorted it by you have to play at least 60 games and at least average 22 minutes per night. He stands alone in that category. The next closest player was Noah Hannafin, who had 14 PIMs, way more PIMs than Jake Sanderson in 71 games. So it's incredible that he's able to be out there at all situations up against other teams' top players, and he doesn't feel the need to constantly be hooking, tripping, holding guys. It's amazing. And I want my players to be nominated for awards, and there has been really good players nominated for this award. Wayne Gretzky, heard of him, Mike Bossy, Ron Francis, Paul Correa, Joe Sakic, Pavel Datsyuk won it 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
Obviously, you talk about Anze Kopitar, Alexander Barkov, Nathan McKinnon, and yeah, it's hard for a defenseman to win this. Like we mentioned, only 4 defensemen won it before. But all this to say, congratulations, Anze Kopitar, on winning the 2025-2026 Lady Byng Award, because he's retiring and he deserves it. So
he also won it last year. He won it in 2023, and he won it in 2016. So this would be his 4th Lady Byng Award.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty cool that Jake Sanderson even got nominated for this.
Go.
I went through and looked it up, his penalties. He had a holding penalty in November against Anaheim. He had a tripping penalty in December against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then he had 2 high sticking penalties in the same game, January 24th, panic button game against the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, Russ, that's probably why I hit the panic button. I was like, even Jake Sanderson is getting multiple penalties in a game. We're screwed.
Yeah, so out of all the games, what did he play? 67 games this year?
Yep.
He had 3 games where he had a penalty, which is truly incredible. And
Wow.
he's an unbelievable talent to build the team around. You look at Cole Caulfield. He obviously had the most points out of any of these players. He had 14 penalties. He took 7 minor penalties. And you look at just the average ice time. Kopitar at 19:07, Caulfield 18:11, Jake Sanderson 24:50. That's a lot more time to be out there to get penalties, and he had the least of any of the players that were nominated for this Award. Later today, we're going to find out the finalists of the Jack Adams Award. On the other side, we'll discuss whether or not Travis Green should find his name on the ballot. We'll do our season in reviews for both the coach and the forwards on the Ottawa Senators. You're listening to Locked On Sens, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA and NHL playoffs are here. Every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. Just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. And look, I know the Ottawa Senators are out of it here, but you can still get some bets in on FanDuel for futures. I'm looking at the Stanley Cup odds. The Avalanche are the favorite, plus 220. Those Carolina Hurricanes are right there beside them at plus 270. So go take a look at all the futures. They got awards as well. Conn Smythe over at FanDuel. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen each and every day, helping the Locked On Podcast Network become the #1 sports podcast network. All right, Pilsy, Travis Green, your thoughts on his potential candidacy for a Jack Adams nominee?
First off, I think he deserves to be in the conversation. We were talking before the show, Ross. I think most likely he's more in the 4th, 5th area. I think it's inevitably going to go to Dan Muse, well deserving as well. And then who do you think gets 2 and 3?
I'm a little out to lunch on my third one. I think number 2, actually, I'm kind of all over the place because initially my number 2, like throughout the second half of the season, was Rick Bowness, but the way they fell off at the very end, I think that can take him
still
out.
Impressive.
I think Jared Bednar deserves a nomination at least. Like when you win the President's Trophy, I feel like you have to be a top 3 coach. And they didn't just win the President's Trophy. They had an 8-point lead on the entire league. Like
Ross, that's not how it's similar to the Norris. It's not actually given to the best defenseman. The Norris is just given to the defenseman that gets the most points. The Jack Adams is not actually given to the best coach. It's given to a coach that takes a team with low expectations higher than they were supposed to be.
Well, Lindy Ruff then has to be a nominee.
Yep. So my top 3 would be Dan Muse, Lindy Ruff, and who else did you say there?
Oh, I was thinking Rick Tocchet at one point.
Yeah.
What about
being there?
Joel Quenneville being there with Anaheim?
Yeah.
Getting a young team over the hump.
Yeah. But anyways, all those guys can be in the mix. But just to talk about Travis Green, I think he's done an incredible job. For people, I just can't comprehend the people that were on the Fire Green train. I know even earlier in the season when the Sens were tied for dead last in the Eastern Conference, it was looking kind of crazy. And then you saw Columbus fire their coach and then have the hot run they did. And then you saw other teams fire their coaches like Vegas. Even the New York Islanders didn't work out for them, but GMs were kind of trigger happy with as far as firing coaches went. But Travis Green has done such an exceptional job here, and credit to all the rest of the coaching staff as well. Daniel Alfredson, Nolan Baumgartner, and Mike Yeo, of course. But the analytics for this team are just so incredible. And to find a way, despite how bad the goaltending was for so long, to get this team into the playoffs, and with the injuries that they dealt with throughout the season, your star goalie taking a leave of absence, like that just throws such a wrench in how you can set your roster. I think I'm really happy with the way Travis Green has performed, and I'm glad he's a coach of this team.
Yeah, back to the stats we pulled up the other day here on LOSP. The Sens top 10 in goals for per game, top 10 in team shooting percentage, power play, 5-on-5 expected goals. They're 3rd and 5th in 5-on-5 Corsi. So a lot of signs pointing towards good coaching that's finding a way to tilt the ice to the other end and ultimately have success despite league worst goaltending for so much of the season. The fact they were like top 10 in save percentage for the last 20 games, and they moved overall from 32nd to 29th, like how bad it was to start the year. It's incredible to see what Travis Green was able to do and get everyone to buy in, because other than Tim Stützle, nobody was over a point per game. It wasn't like they had those top end guys that other teams do where they can win multiple games by themselves. This was a true definition of a team. And I wonder if the award voters, it's voted on by the Professional Hockey Writers Association. I just wonder how much, if any, they take into account all the white noise that Ottawa had to deal with this season and how Travis Green kept the group in sync and keeping the noise out of the room through all that. Because I think that managing that was a big part of what Travis Green did this season.
Yeah, that's a great point. A lot of other teams did not have to deal with the off-ice scrutiny and issues that the Ottawa Senators had to deal with. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to win it. I don't think he's probably going to even be a finalist, but Travis Green deserves a lot of credit for the job he's done here.
Yeah, he does. Okay, let's look at the forwards here. Let's just go through it in order of points. It's just an easy way to sort them. Tim Stützle, your thoughts on his season as a whole?
Excellent season for Tim Stützle. In 80 games, 34 goals, 49 assists, 83 points. Would have been nice to get one more goal, one assist, finish with 35 goals, 50 assists. Just clean that up into some more rounded numbers. But he had 194 shots. How about this, Ross? A shooting percentage of 17.5%.
I like that.
Like, that's nice. So as far as I'm concerned, Tim Stützle, I know we're not doing grades for this, but to make it short and sweet, he gets an A for me. Like, this is what you want from Timmy. Let me look at his face-offs as well. 53% in the dot, 5 game-winning goals, 2 shorthanded goals, 9 power play goals. Like, I love Tim Stützle's season.
Yeah, I did too. And he's shooting the puck a lot more than he had in the last couple of years, which was something that he in particular wanted to get better at. He had 194 shots this year. In 2 less games than the year before, he had 32 more shots on goal. So we've been banging the drum saying, Timmy, shoot the puck, please. And he came through and blew last year's numbers out of the water. It was also his best shooting percentage of his career, even better than the year he had 39 goals.
Wow.
He had a better shooting percentage this year. So very good stat there. Drake Batherson finished with 71 points. He has the NHL record for most consecutive seasons, improving his point total. He's done that in every single year he's been in the National Hockey League. Your thoughts on a 33-goal season from Batherson?
Quietly a great season for Drake. Like, if I didn't look at those point totals and just kind of went off my vibes of him, I'd be like, yeah, a good year for Drake. But then you really look at it, second on the team in points, 33 goals, 38 assists, 71 points, 13 goals on the power play. He had an even higher shooting percentage than Timmy at 19.8. Just incredible. I think he's a streaky player. We talk about it. He'll go ice cold and then he'll score in bunches. How many, like, I feel like this guy had a handful of 2-goal games, like just getting 2-goal games all over the place. But I know people don't necessarily love Drake Batherson, but he's an important part of this team. He scored 3 goals in 4 playoff games. Only one of 2 players to score any goals. Led the team in points in the round 1 sweep here. So big year for Drake. And as far as cost per point goes, he's got to be, if not the top, one of the top, other than obviously entry-level deals. He's got to be one of the top guys in the NHL.
And interestingly enough, he shot the puck a lot less this year, 25 less shots than he had last season, but almost scored on 20% of them. Every 5 shots, he was getting at least one in the back of the net. And many of them, as he noted in his exit interview, just hit him. And that means you're in a good spot if they're hitting you and going in. Batherson with 8 multi-goal games this season. So 16 of his 33 goals came in multi-goal performances. On the other side, we'll look at the rest of the forwards and wrap up about the playoffs and what we're looking at tonight with a 3-game slate of elimination affairs. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing like playoff hockey live. The intensity, the rivalries, the crowd It's just different when you're in the building. Playoffs are some of the best moments in sports, and being there in person is something every fan should experience. Ross and I got our playoff tickets for the Ottawa Senators on Game Time. It was incredibly easy to find tickets in just a few taps, and with the Game Time guarantee, you know you're getting 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. The app's super easy to use, and the pricing is all in. So what you see is what you pay. No surprise fees at checkout. And they got the seat view. So if you're going to a game on the road, you want to make sure you got a good seat, you can check it out on the app. And zone deals are clutch. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save money. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
All right, Pillsy, continuing our review of seasons for all forwards on the Ottawa Senators. We've done Tim Stützle, we've done Drake Batherson, which brings us to the third most productive forward on the team, and that is Dylan Cozens. Cozens finishes the season with 28 goals, 59 points. He averaged just over 17 minutes a game. He had 53% success in the dot and 215 hits, 204 shots on goal. Bit of a stat stuffer this year for Dylan Cozens.
Yeah, good year from Dylan Cozens. And Ross, what is the best ability?
Availability,
playing all 82 games. Like, just incredible. That's what we needed from a second line center. Obviously, we love Josh Norris, but he wasn't available the way Dylan Cozens has been for this team. He gets a lot of his points on the power play. 13 power play goals, tied for the most with Drake, and tied for the most power play points with Timmy with 29. So basically half of his points are on the power play, but you got to get power play points and goals. So I don't hate it. There's so many times out there where I'm just glad we have Dylan Cozens. He's signed long-term at a nice, reasonable deal, 7.1. So this is a good player, good part of this team.
Yeah, I'm still looking for that next step, and he's still young. He just turned 25 years old in February. I just think there's a little bit more that he has. Like, he's such a big, rangy skater. He's showing the physicality. I think maybe a little bit of defensive awareness would be something I'd be looking at if we're looking to nitpick an area of improvement. He's been a minus player in every single season in his career, including both in Buffalo and Ottawa last year. Like 16 points in 21 games and still a -4 this year, -7 in 82 games. I just think that might be the next step, but he had the most hits in his career this season. He had the best face-off percentage of his career this season. He had the second most shots on goal in a season for him in his career this year. Like, he is still ascending to the player that we think he can become. So really happy to see this from Dylan Cozens, and I'm looking for more from that next season. I think we said 30 goals, 60 points was the goal this season for him. And I mean, he came ever so close to both of those. So credit to him. If you count his 2 playoff goals, he hit 30 goals on the season. Just unfortunately, it came during a sweep. And that last goal almost pissed me off more than anything, to make it a 1-goal game after you gave up an empty netter with a minute and a half left. Brady Tkachuk was tied with Dylan Cozens in points this season, despite playing 22 less games. The captain with 22 goals, and he was his usual self in terms of every area on the stat category was stuffed. 221 shots on goal, led the Ottawa Senators. Again, he missed 22 games, and he led the Senators in shots on goal by 15. So he's still getting pucks on net. You'd like to see him get a few more. I feel like he had more long-range goals last year than this year. Maybe that's just eye test and hindsight 2020. But I feel like he wasn't shooting as much from the half wall or from the high slot as he was last year. But around the net, he's still an elite player.
This was a great year for Brady Tkachuk. Like, you have to look at from year to year, Ross. Last year, in 72 games, he had 55 points. This year, in 60 games, so 12 less games, He had 59 points, 4 more points in 12 less games. And where Brady Tkachuk really improved his game, we look at Brady Tkachuk as a power forward, hits, fights, scores goals in tight. Brady Tkachuk was a playmaker this year with 37 assists. And these aren't just, hey, I shot the puck and the rebound ended up going to a guy and they scored, or it bounced off my skate and went to someone. These were highlight reel assists that he was able to set his teammates up for. So I'm really impressed with the way Brady played this season. Like we talked about before, he had his first surgery, thumb surgery, dealing with obviously going to the Olympics and coming back. That's a tough transition to make. He put a lot on his body this year. So I'm really happy with how Brady Tkachuk performed on the ice this year.
What are your thoughts on his ice time? Down another minute and 30 seconds or a minute and 15 seconds from last season. And when he had his great offensive seasons, when he had 83 points in 82 games and then 37 goals and 74 points the next year, he was up between 1838 and 1910. Played just a shade under 17 minutes a game this season. Now, you could probably also say that it might be a shade over 17 if you count the game where he left against the Islanders in the second period. So his ice time was down there, and he got injured in the first period of the home opener. So his ice time was down there too.
I don't really care about the ice time, Ross, because this, in my opinion, like individually, maybe it's something to look at, but as a team, it's a good thing. You're spreading wealth. Brady Tkachuk, for the most part, in his time with the Ottawa Senators, has been a top line guy. They were able to spread the wealth this year and have Timmy and Brady split up. Brady on the second line with Dylan Cousins and Ridley Gregg. I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, there's a method to his madness, and he had a lot to build off this season. Obviously, the playoffs did not go his way, and I'm sure he'll be motivated to right that ship next season. Claude Giroux, Mr. Consistency, 82 games again for Giroux. He's played 4 seasons in Ottawa and was a healthy scratch in game 82 to rest last season. Hasn't missed a game otherwise. And again, basically put up an identical season to last year in terms of point production. He had 49 this year, 50 last year. But the big swing was in his plus minus, where he went from -8 last season to +20. That's a nice little jump. I believe that is the forward lead. It is just behind Artem Zub overall team plus minus. We know it's a flawed stat, but when you go from -8 to +20, that's a big swing. And it's worth showing that this guy, despite being 38 years old, is still a very valuable member of this team.
And his biggest value comes in the faceoff dot, in my opinion. Finished with 63.1% in the dot. He just gets it done. He played up and down the lineup this year, was asked to do different things, is a leader in that locker room. I mean, I got Claude Giroux's jersey hanging up behind me. I'm such a Claude Giroux guy. It was so important that the Ottawa Senators brought him here. I'm glad they got that deal done. And I'm expecting a similar type deal to be done again. Claude Giroux will be back and will be an Ottawa Senator. He's going to retire here, I'm sure.
Yeah, just an absolute treat to have on the team, the leadership, everything that Claude Giroux brings. He kills penalties for them. He's on the second power play unit. He's a real jack of all trades and a leader, and a guy that I think brings credibility to the market. The fact that he signed here after such an amazing career in Philadelphia to start things off. Coming in next, it's Shane Pinto with 46 points, had 23 goals, a career high for him, played 72 games, missed 10. And I think just an elite defensive forward that is finding his rhythm. And I still think that there's more offensive upside for him. I know he beat his previous career high in points by 9 from last season. But if we could get Pinched up to like 55 points next year, I think this team's cooking with fire.
Yeah, and I don't think that's that crazy of an expectation. He had 23 goals, 23 assists. Nice to see that matching. Good in the faceoff dot, 51.8%. And I think Shane Pinto is progressing the way you want to see. And you have to consider, too, this guy's missed a lot of time in his career to injuries, obviously 41 game suspension. Like, he's got a bit of catching up to do just as far as experience and games played go. So I think as he gets more experience under his belt, he's going to get better and better. And he's already relied upon as Travis Green number one trusted centerman when it comes to shutting down teams' top opponents, top offensive guys. So yeah, I'm happy with Shane Pinto here. And the contract bumps up. Now he's making $7.5 million. That's big bucks. It's more than Dylan Cousins makes. So the expectation is going to be there, aligned with the hope that he continues to grow.
And he did finish second on the Ottawa Senators forward group with time on ice per game, just showing that despite the points not always being there, he was the second most trusted forward after Tim Stützle for the Sens. Makes sense to do Shane Pinto and then next do Michael Amadio, because those two were tied at the hip all season defending against the other team's top lines. And for the first time in 4 years, Michael Amadio does not finish with 27 points. He finishes with 35 instead.
You'd rather he go up than down, Ross. I think if he finished with 26, we'd be disappointed. But finishing with 35 points is a great year for Amadio. 15 goals, 20 assists in 81 games. Kind of funny that he was one of the guys that got a day's rest at the end of the year. I did not have him in the category of you got to rest this guy, but well-deserved. He plays hard minutes. I really like what Michael Amadio brings to this team. He's on a good deal, only making 2.6, and him and Pinto are tied at the hip. That's a great duo, and I expect we're going to see them play together as long as they're on this roster.
So they did have a rotating cast at left wing on their line, whether it was Nick Cousins, Ridley Gregg, Claude Giroux, and the list goes on. Fogle, there you go. But if you look at it in just those two, so the line that played the most together all season in the NHL was Scheifele, Connor, and Velarde with the Winnipeg Jets, 652 minutes. But if you look at just Michael Amadio and Shane Pinto together, they played 744 minutes together this season.
Wow.
Like when one was on the ice, the other was on the ice. It was as simple as that. And when you look at the expected goals when they were on the ice together, 54.7 in Ottawa's favor against that level of competition. Super, super impressive. And I think that those two, I mean, you could put that in pen to start next season, right? The fact that those two should start together.
Permanent marker, Ross. Travis Green might even get the chisel out and put it in stone.
Yeah, they had a 30% offensive zone faceoff percentage when they were on the ice together. So they were obviously very relied upon in the defensive end. One of those guys on the rotating cast also had 35 points this season, and that would be Ridley Gregg, who for the third straight year, we're starting to see another trend develop, Pilsy. 13 goals for Ridley Gregg. Third straight year he's done that.
Yeah, and Ridley Gregg plays his role well. Like he's a depth guy, even though he ended up playing in the top 6 for most of the season with Brady Tkachuk and Dylan Cousins. But he plays physical style game. He's an agitator. He gets under team skin while also being able to contribute offensively. And his contract is looking really good right now. Only making 3.25, signed for a couple of years. He's only 23 years old. Like he's probably going to get better. I think we're going to see Ridley Gregg be a 40-point guy consistently moving forward.
Yeah, I think that would be a great bar to have for Ridley Gregg. And one thing I noticed, though, his hits were way down this year. He only had 96 hits. He had 138 last year, 129 the year before. So just something to keep an eye on. But he's definitely rounding out his game. And he said himself that when he got to be put up on a line with those two you mentioned, Cousins and Brady, it gave him a jolt of confidence where it's like, yeah, I can be in the top 6 here. So I think it's a big summer for him because we talked about with him when he was a prospect on the show, talking about how he's trying to get his weight up, trying to be one of those guys who can kind of handle it down low and grind and extend offensive zone time. And he's on the right track to doing that. I think people sometimes forget that, like Jake Sanderson, he was one of the youngest players from that 2020 draft class. He doesn't turn 24 until August. So this guy's still got a lot of time left. He'll be entering his prime starting next season. So we'd love to see him crack that 45 points would be just a fantastic season for Ridley Gregg. But we're looking to kick up from 13 goals. 3 years in a row, that's fun. Let's go 15 plus for Ridley Gregg because there's a guy who I think some people are down and low on. And I got to admit, I'm probably one of those guys. And it's Fabian Zetterlund, who is one of 3 Senators to play in all 82 games this year. He finished with 17 goals and 33 points, but he only averaged 12 minutes and 55 seconds per game. What was your thoughts on Zetterlund's first full season in Ottawa?
Well, and a lot of those points came at the end of the year. He got hot at the end of the year. So there was stretches where he was getting absolutely nothing done. And Ross, he's making more than $4 million a year on your fourth line for the most of it. And sure, I mean, 17 goals, 16 assists, 33 points as the fourth liner is actually decent. But you'll remember we had a guy on our fourth line last year that scored 19 goals, Adam Gaudette. And we looked at that and we said, hey, you can't be paying a fourth liner that much money. He got a 2-year, $2 million deal with the San Jose Sharks. Adam Gaudette scored 17 goals as well again this year.
Yeah, wow.
So when you look at it that way, you had a guy that you could have paid $2 million to get the same goal production. Now, he didn't get 33 points, Gaudette, but you could have got that same goal production from a guy you already had. And ironically, you get Zetterlund from the Sharks and Gaudette goes to the Sharks. But Zetterlund's such an enigma, man, because he plays the game the right way. You expect that he can do more. When they signed him to that extension, I think most people thought it was a decent gamble. Like, sure, he got here, but it was a whirlwind for him to get here. They didn't find a spot for him. But this is going to be a top 6 guy growing into his game. Is going to get 20+ goals a year. Didn't work out that way. So
no,
with the way this salary cap is and the way this team is structured, having Fabian Zetterlund make that much money on the fourth line and not be able to produce up to his expectations is going to hold this team back. So it's going to be fascinating to see how they handle this situation.
Super random stat, but Ottawa, they struggled against the Atlantic Division this year as a whole, as a team. They hadn't had the same success as they've had in years past overall versus Detroit, Buffalo, Montreal, Toronto, etc. Fabian Zetterlund had 18 points in 26 games against the Atlantic Division and just not much against anybody else. So
except the Sharks.
Yeah, except the Sharks. Against the Central Division, he was -10 in 16 games. Just very random stat, but he did play well against Atlantic Division teams. He was also very good in December this year. And at the end of the year, 4 goals, 6 points in his final 8 regular season games. My biggest issue with Fabian Zetterlund, I know he had the screen on the Jake Sanderson goal in game 4 against the Leafs, but he's sitting at 0 playoff points in 10 games with the Ottawa Senators. Would like to see him at least find a way to get 1. Get 2. I didn't even realize he was playing against Carolina for most of that series. So very unfortunate because he tries very hard and like he plays hard. Like he plays hard and he's got a good shot, but unfortunately hasn't been able to come all together. We'll see if a summer for him will do him well as he looks to improve enough to get the coach's trust to be playing more than 13 minutes a game. Don't have to touch on David Perron. It was an okay season. I'll always remember that Chicago Blackhawks game, that wild one where it was going back and forth, and he settled it down and scored twice in the third period. We needed those 2 points, so thanks, DP, for that, and thank you for getting us a 4th-round pick. Nick Cousins, do you think he should be back next season? I thought it was a good season for him for sure. Almost identical counting stats that he had, not last year, identical counting stats as he had with the Florida Panthers in his first year there. But overall for me with Nick Cousins, I think he got exposed a little bit in the Carolina series.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'd be shocked if he's not back, Ross, because Travis Green put a lot of trust in him throughout the season. Like
he did.
We talked about how there was a rotating cast of guys playing with Pinto and Amadio. He was the top guy. He played the most minutes of Claude Giroux, really Greg with those guys. And he was trusted in big moments. Did he get exposed? Yeah. But as a third best player on that line, he did a good job overall. And I mean, you're just going to sign this guy to a 1-year minimum deal. I think he's worth that value for sure. And he's a well-liked guy in the locker room. He's one of those guys you hate to play against. Voted most punchable face in the NHL 2nd year in a row. But you love him when he's on your team. So I'd bring him back on that 1-year minimum for sure.
32 years old, Nick Cousins is. He led the team in penalty minutes with 92. He also was 2nd on the team in hits behind Dylan Cousins. So another thing to consider when you're looking at the season that was for Nick Cousins. I'd be happy to have him back, but I think that he should be a 4th-line guy next year. Let's keep on the 4th line and go from there. Lars Eller. It was a quiet season for Lars Eller, but you look at the counting stats, he ends with 15 points, a +5, 54% in the dot, good penalty killer, only 11.5 minutes a game. I think he did his job. Good 1-year deal, but I think it's time to hand the reins over to Stephen Halliday on that fourth line.
I agree. He did what he was brought in to do, but it's time to move forward with a different direction, and I think Stephen Halliday is ready for that job.
And Halliday had 11 points in 30 games this season, only averaging 8 minutes and 31 seconds. So I think that this is the big summer for Stephen Halliday to come out and in camp show that he can be the fourth line center on this team. Warren Foegele, 6 goals, 8 points in 21 games for him this season after being acquired at the deadline from LA. He was a guy I wish we could have found him some more minutes. He only averaged 11.35, and he had some big goals, man. Like he had out of his 6 goals, 4 were game winners.
Yeah, and he came in firing to the Ottawa Senators in his first 9 games. I think he had 5 goals. Like he was just very effective immediately. He needs to be the main player, main guy on that third line with Pinto and Amadio. I like the way they played when they were together in the playoffs, even though it didn't exactly go their way. But yeah, you need to swap him and Cousins roles next season.
The only other forward that played more than 11 games, Curtis McDermott. Pillsy, your thoughts on his season?
What's the record when he was in the lineup?
It was pretty good.
Yeah, those are my thoughts. He's a well-liked guy. We talked to Stephen Halliday. He said, McDermott puts a lot of work in, and he's had some injuries that have definitely changed the way he's able to play.
Skate.
Didn't fulfill his role the way we hoped. Did he win a single fight?
No.
Yeah, and which is crazy because hockey fights statistics was he was winning like 80% of his fights throughout his career. He was brought in to do that, and he wasn't able to do that. He signed at 1 more year at over $1 million, so he's going to be around again. But plug and play player. Yeah,
the Sens were 12-3-4 when Curtis McDermott was in the lineup. Curtis McDermott, how many games did he play since? Well, he got the
That's
2
a good record.
He got the 2 softball games at the end of the year, right? At New Jersey and then home to Toronto. The Toronto game, man, he played 745. Like, that's big boy minutes. Second most he played in a game this year.
Dude, remember the game in Winnipeg? First shift for him, comes off the bench and rips one off the post. And then he had that sick assist to help the boys get the win in Winnipeg.
Legacy game.
Yeah.
My favorite Curtis McDermott stat this season, he was -2 in a 7-2 win.
Oops.
Hey, he's going to be around, and by all accounts, he's just an absolute beauty. The guys absolutely love him. So, hey, he'll be back next season. $1 million. What are you going to do? Plug and play guy. Overall, though, like it was a good season, but I still think this team's missing a big time goal scorer that can put games away just by himself.
Yep. And we're going to get to that throughout next week.
Yep, 5 20-goal scorers the Ottawa Senators have this season. The Sens had 11 players with 10 or more goals this season. That's including the 10 that Perron scored before he was injured. Nick Cousins had 9, so he was right in the mix. But you ran into a wagon. The Carolina Hurricanes had 7 20-goal scorers on their team. They were top to bottom just very good, and we'll see if they can continue when they take on Philadelphia. That round 2 starts tomorrow. Quick picks here to wrap up today's show, Pillsy. Who you got tonight? We've got 3 elimination games. Vegas has a chance to do it on the road against Utah. You have Buffalo on the road looking to do it in Boston, and Montreal on the road, or at home at the Bell Center for Game 6.
Vegas moves on. Buffalo moves on. Tampa ties it.
Okay. I'm going to say Utah ties it as well. But I think
you love
Buffalo.
your Utah team.
Yep. I think the Buffalo is going to end their series tonight, and the other 2 will get 2 Game 7s on Sunday. We deserve some Game 7s in this first round.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, it sucks, man. I can't believe the Sens are out. All right, Pills, any final thoughts on today's show?
My only other final thought is I tweeted out today, Ross, Ducks are such a fun team, but it's so annoying. We have to watch them wear those ugly orange jerseys. I get the Orange County thing. They're trying to lean into that, but Dude, they have such good other jerseys. It's crazy that's what they're rocking with. But
yeah, they're all orange now, man. They interviewed Timo Solani on the broadcast, and his blazer for his alumni blazer is bright orange.
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
Give us the eggplant.
The eggplant was so dope, man.
Yeah.
Even their new iteration of the eggplant with the circle logo with the duck mask, I didn't love that, but it was fun. Just bring back the classic one, the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, and that was talking jerseys. My final thoughts on today's show: Sam Bolduc, who came over in a trade after the deadline for Jan Yannick, has apparently signed a KHL agent, so we'll see if he's going to be back. I doubt it. I think that the KHL will be happy to have a guy like that who is a AHL, NHL tweener. People pointing out that because he's over the 325 pro game, AHL plus NHL game, 320 is the marker there. You can only have 6 players in your AHL lineup that have played more than that number of games. So he might have thought, man, I might get squeezed out. I might not be able to play as many games. I might not be looking to be a call up at 25, but man, he played so well with Belleville that it really bothers me because Belleville needs to have defensemen in the lineup here this year or next year that can play. He had 10 points in 12 games after being acquired there. And he was probably so pissed. We brought it up on the show too. Like, all the injuries occurred, but he wasn't eligible. He would have been the guy much earlier than others. So unfortunate that Sam Bolduc looks like he's moving on. And Pilsy, it also closes the chapter of the Mark Stone trade. The trade tree is complete because Jan Yannick was acquired for Igor Sokolov, who was the second-round pick in that trade. So Brandstrom walked, Lindbergh walked, and then you've had the second turn to Igor, turn to Yannick, turn to Bolduc, and he's going to walk too. So there you go. That's where we're at right now. The trade is over, and Mark Stone's still captaining a team that's alive in the playoffs. He's got a Stanley Cup, yada, yada, yada. All right, Pillsy, we got a weekend to decompress, and then we're going to turn the page to what's to come for the Ottawa Senators. Next week, we'll do a full show on their restricted free agents, full show on their unrestricted free agents, who's going to be back, and when we plug those names into our depth chart, what's left? What needs to happen for Ottawa to get better? Stay tuned for that throughout next week. Still 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, all the way through the draft, all the way through free agency. We are your team every day. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. Thank you so much for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.